began to realize that they needed to join forces to save Victor and unravel the mystery that connected them to him. Sophia shared her contacts with Victor in her dreams. Mike shared his research and the glowing lights. Lillian spoke about her dreams and drawings. And Samuel shared his encounter with Victor himself. "We all see that this is not a coincidence, but destiny," Emily said, feeling the unity between them. The family decided to perform a ritual that would help bridge the worlds of the living and the dead in an attempt to free Victor. Lillian used her gifts to conduct the ritual, while the other family members supported her with their faith and energy. In the evening, under the moonlight, they gathered in the yard around a glowing circle. Lillian began to recite ancient incantations, and their powers began to merge together. The world started to distort slowly, and they felt the barriers between the worlds beginning to dissolve. Their minds and souls intertwined, and they started to see scenes from Victor's past. Feelings, thoughts, fears, everything merged into a single entity. They immersed themselves in his story, his struggle, and his passionate desire for freedom. Light and darkness started to merge, creating a portal to another world. In that moment, they felt Victor becoming a part of themselves. They felt his pain, his longing, but also his hope. And finally, the power of the ritual reached its peak. The portal began to slowly close, but on its threshold, they saw Victor standing before them. He was now fully embodied, freed from captivity. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice filled with newfound strength. The Blake family smiled, sensing that their efforts had succeeded. They had united together and overcome their fears to help Victor. Ahead of them lay many more questions and challenges, but they were ready to move forward, bound by strong ties. The Blake family realized that their victory had only just begun. Rescuing Victor was merely the first step towards unraveling the mystery, and they knew that even darker trials awaited them. After the ritual, they gathered in the hall to discuss their next steps. Suddenly, the room grew cold, and the air began to pulse slowly. The curtains rustled as if stirred by an unseen breeze. "What is this?" Sophia whispered, her gaze tense. And then, figures began to emerge from the darkness, figures of shadows, becoming increasingly distinct. These were their own shadows, but they were distorted and contorted, taking on the forms of horrifying creatures. The Blake family felt an internal terror. The shadows approached, enveloping them in cold and dread. The heroes' hearts pounded wildly. They felt fear gripping their minds. A chilling chorus of voices echoed in the air, like the whispers of the dead. "These are your fears." Victor's voice resonated. "But how? We've already defeated his darkness." Emily exclaimed. Victor nodded. "You freed me, but the shadow will always seek to return. It's a part of you yourselves. Your fears, doubts, dark desires, all of these create a power that can pose a danger." The family realized that they were facing a new threat. Their own fears were taking on tangible form, feeding on their emotions. They understood that to confront this threat, they needed to face their darkest aspects. And so, each of them began to battle their fears. Sophia confronted nightmares of losing loved ones. Mike grappled with doubts about his scientific abilities. Lillian faced the fear of not comprehending her gifts. Samuel fought the fear of losing control, and Emily battled self-betrayal. Their individual struggles transformed into real scenes, battles with dark creatures, nightmares, and distorted forms. Each of them understood that only by overcoming their fears could they halt the shadow's attempt to return. Night after night, they fought and grew through their struggles. They began to realize that fears and dark sides were a part of themselves, but they could choose how to manage them. Their belief in themselves and each other became the key to victory. And one day, after long and exhausting battles, they met in their dreams, each with the others. They understood that their strengths had merged, and now they could weave a powerful spell capable of countering the dark forces. In the evening, they gathered in the courtyard around a glowing circle. Under the moonlight, the power of their belief and unity created a potent field of energy. Lillian began to utter ancient words, and as they all held hands, they channeled their collective strength. And in that moment, light and darkness began to merge like a whirlwind. Out of the power of their faith and goodwill, a sword materialized, radiating a brilliant light. They had managed to create a weapon against the dark forces that could stand strong. Pooling their strengths, they launched their battle against the shadows. The sword of light shattered the dark forms, and their belief and unity rendered it invincible. The night grew darker, but they didn't stop. They fought for their family, for Victor, and for their own strength. As the battle raged on, their strength and unity allowed them to control the dark forces and repel the shadow attacks. Their sword of light grew brighter, and each strike pierced through the darkness. They fought not only for their family, but also for Victor, who had become their ally. And suddenly, a whirlwind of light and darkness engulfed them, enveloping them in a bright light. They felt as if they had risen above the ground, traveling through time and space. They found themselves on the streets of a distant past, in a city that was once Victor's home. Buildings and streets distorted, creating an atmosphere of mystique and uncertainty. They saw Victor, young and ambitious, an artist striving to transcend the boundaries of art. They witnessed his encounter with a man he didn't know. This man offered him help, but the distorted features of his face left Victor with strange sensations. They followed Victor, witnessing his passion for art and his drive to unravel mystical mysteries. They saw how he began to explore a portal between worlds, driven by ambition and a thirst for knowledge. They sensed his fear and excitement as he attempted to connect the realms. And then they saw how dark forces began to consume Victor. They witnessed him losing control of what he had awakened. As the darkness began to devour his soul, they felt his despair and pain when he realized he had become a prisoner of his own ambitions. The Blake family bore witness to this tragic story, as if they had become a part of Victor's past. Their strength and faith allowed them to delve into these moments and unravel the mysteries of the past. And suddenly, they found themselves back in their own courtyard. The sword of light still gleamed in their hands. They realized that understanding the past and their roots would help them confront the dark force that pursued them. The Blake family continued their deep research, uncovering the secrets of symbols and their connection to the dark forces. They spent sleepless nights studying every detail, trying to understand how to use their discoveries in battle. Their strength and faith grew more potent. They discovered that the power of a symbol depended on their inner state, their unity, and their belief in success. They trained, supported each other, and strengthened their bonds. Finally, the day of the ultimate battle arrived. They gathered in the courtyard around a glowing circle. Under the moonlight, the sword of light, created from their strength and faith, stood before them. They felt ready, their power strong enough to confront the dark forces. "This is our final battle," Emily said. "We must use all our strength and faith to defeat the dark essence that haunts us. We're all in this together," Samuel added. "We'll support each other, and our strength will become boundless." They began their ritual, holding hands and closing their eyes. Lillian began to recite an incantation, summoning the power of the symbol and her drawings. Light and darkness began to merge like a whirlwind, and the sword of light began to shine brighter. And in that moment, the dark essence began to appear. Shadows distorted the air, creating an ominous atmosphere, but the family stood firm. Their strength, faith, and unity allowed them to repel the initial attack. The battle ignited. The sword of light in their hands flickered with bright light, destroying the dark forms. The heroes moved in harmony, supporting one another. They used the power of the symbol, attempting to control and weaken the dark forces. But the dark essence was strong. It changed form, trying to confuse them. The heroes felt its attempts to infiltrate their minds, but they resisted, maintaining their defense. The battle continued, each minute filled with tension and danger. But the family didn't waver. Their strength lay in unity. Their faith was unbreakable. They understood that this was the final battle, and they had to defeat the dark forces. And finally, the sword of light gleamed even brighter, dazzling the darkness. The dark essence began to dissipate, its distorted forms vanishing as if washed away by streams of light. The heroes felt their faith's power piercing through the darkness, breaking it apart. The Blake family emerged from this battle as victors. Their strength, faith, and unity overcame the dark forces. They realized that strength existed within each of them, and that together, they could conquer any threat. After hours of battle, the darkness began to dissipate, and the light of the sword started to fade. The Blake family stood in the center of the courtyard, their breath heavy, but their gazes filled with determination. "We did it," Emily whispered. "We defeated the dark forces. Our strength and faith overcame them," Mike said. "We proved that even the deepest fears can be conquered. We endured temptations and confronted ourselves," Lillian added. "And it made us stronger." Sophia smiled. "We not only saved Victor, but ourselves too. We realized that the power is within us, and supporting each other matters." Samuel nodded. "We can turn this experience into strength for the future. We can use our knowledge and faith to overcome any challenges." And in that moment, amidst the moonlight and the gleam of the sword, something incredible began to happen. The air shimmered with a soft light, and from that light, the outlines of a figure emerged. It was Victor. He stood before them, radiating light, his eyes filled with gratitude and acknowledgement. "Thank you. You freed me from the dark forces. You've shown that the power of faith and unity can conquer any terror." "You contributed as well," Emily said. "You helped us decipher the mysteries of history, and your belief in art and knowledge was key." Victor smiled. "I will no longer be a prisoner of my ambitions. I've understood that true strength lies within us, and that we can shape our own destiny." And then, amidst the light and the atmosphere of triumph, the Blake family realized that their battle with the dark essence had become not only a trial, but also a rebirth. They had become stronger, closer, and wiser. Their journey into the realm of darkness and light had left a mark on their hearts and souls. They understood that their story was part of a larger narrative, and that each of them played a role in this intricate world. In the time that followed the battle, the Blake family returned to their everyday lives, but they were no longer the same people. They had become stronger, wiser, and closer. The experience they had shared bonded them forever. The family decided not to forget their journey into the realm of darkness and light. They created a special corner in their home where they kept Lillian's drawings, symbols, and records of their struggle. It served as a reminder that they could overcome any hardships as long as they were together. Victor, also transformed by the battle, chose to continue his exploration of art and mysticism. But now, he did it with a deeper understanding of his own strength and caution to avoid repeating mistakes. Each of the heroes found a new direction in life. Mike started publishing scientific articles about the psychology of fear and methods to overcome it. Emily began working with a local charity organization, helping people overcome difficulties. Lillian decided to push further into the realm of art and enrolled in a prestigious art school. Her drawings became works of art, conveying deep emotions and mysteries. Samuel established a support group for people facing their own fears and dark sides. He used his experience and faith to help them overcome challenges and find inner balance. The Blake family continued to meet, sharing their successes and joys. Their bond grew even stronger, and they realized that any challenge could be overcome as long as they were together. Their story became a source of inspiration for others. Their courage and faith showed that the power within each of us can overcome even the most frightening threats. Their battle with the dark forces became a legend, passed down from generation to generation.